Sweet chestnut, Castanea sativa, is non-native but naturalised in the UK. They grow up to about 35 metres, and the more mature trees can have really wide trunks. The bark on mature trees has really deep fissures, and it can often spiral around the trunk. Sweet chestnut have large oval leaves that are glossy and have hooked teeth and a pointed end. People get confused between sweet chestnut and horse chestnut. The main thing to look out for is the leaf arrangement. So sweet chestnut have a alternate budding arrangement. So they'll grow from one side of the stem and then the other, alternating all the way up the stem. And horse chestnut are palmate, so the leaves will grow out from a central point, like fingers from a hand. Another way to identify sweet chestnut is if you look on the new growth, so the stems that have grown this year, you'll get these ribs running the length of the stem. So sweet chestnut and horse chestnut aren't related, but they both have similar looking fruits. Whereas the sweet chestnut here is edible, horse chestnut or conkers are poisonous, so you need to learn the difference if you're going to harvest them. So sweet chestnut here have really spiky, sharp casings that you really need gloves to pick them. And inside they'll have these are the sweet chestnuts. This one here is a horse chestnut or conker, and you see the spikes are much shorter and not as sharp. So to get to the sweet chestnut, just put it on the floor, roll it with your foot, and they come out like that. They're usually ready to harvest in about early October, and they're really nice roasted, used in soups and nut roasts. As you can see, you get absolute masses of sweet chestnuts on the mature trees. Yew, Taxus baccata, is one of 3 native coniferous trees in the UK, the others being Scots pine and juniper. They're very common in mixed woodland, especially among beech trees. They're a very long-lived tree. The oldest trees in the UK are thought to be yew, and some are believed to be over 3,000 years old. Yew are evergreen, so you'll find the needles all year round. The needles are broad and flat. They're dark glossy green on top and a lighter green underneath. And also, if you look carefully underneath, you can see a raised central vein in the middle of the leaf. And the needles grow in a flat plane, and they sometimes spiral around the stem. Yew is a deadly poisonous tree. It contains the chemical taxine. All parts of the tree are poisonous apart from the red flesh of the fruit, or the areole, although the seed inside is toxic. So technically the flesh is edible, but unless you're an experienced forager, I recommend leaving them alone. And they're very slimy. Just a few handfuls of the leaves is enough to be deadly. And some people have made the mistake of making what they thought was pine needle tea, but using yew needles instead, and that has been a fatal mistake. Yew are dioecious, meaning a tree has either male or female flowers. So some trees will have these fruits and some won't. Yew is a good strong timber. In medieval times they used it for making longbows, and they used to use the part of the heartwood and sapwood to give it strength and flexibility. The bark is a reddish brown, and you'll find it often peeling off. This is Alder, Ulmus glutinosa. They grow to about 30 meters and have a tall cone-like shape. Very common in the UK, especially growing next to rivers. Alder leaves grow on quite long petioles or leaf stems, and it has a serrated margin. A nice easy ID feature for Alder is that if you look at the tip of the leaf, it's not pointed, in fact it's indented. Alder is monoecious, or it has both male and female flowers on the same tree. The male ones are these, they're longer and thinner, and the female ones here are more spherical. Its bark is quite dark and fissured, and they thrive alongside waterways. And its roots, when they get submerged in the water, they don't rot. In fact, they go harder and stronger, and it makes a really good, strong timber. This is field maple, Acer campestre, our one native species of maple in the UK. They usually grow to about 20 meters, and they're very common in mixed woodlands. And you'll also find them in city parks because they're a very pollution tolerant tree. Like all maples, field maple has an opposite leaf arrangement. It has 5 deeply divided lobes. It looks fairly similar to Norway maple, but the difference is field maple has lobes that are bluntly toothed, and Norway maple has sharply toothed lobes. It's a nice tree in late autumn. The leaves will go a golden yellow. The fruits of the field maple are the helicopters or samaras, and like sycamore, the wood of field maple is very good for carving. This is Norway spruce, a non-native conifer that can live for up to around 1,000 years. Its evergreen needles are short and of an even length, and they have a roughly square shape around the stem. They're green, top and bottom, and when crushed they give off a nice sweet smell. The twigs of Norway spruce have these grooves running up them. And on younger trees like this, the bark is a lighter brown and rough to the touch. As it matures, it will go darker brown and develop scales. And the fruit of Norway spruce are cones, which are quite long, and they have overlapping scales with jagged tips. It has a good strong timber with a straight grain. And one of the other uses for Norway spruce is it's one of the main trees used in the UK for Christmas trees. A few bushcraft uses for the tree is, you see this stuff here is resin, and it has a few uses. The main one is it can be used to make glue. And another use from this tree is the roots can be used to make a really good cordage. So if you just look at the root collar, which goes into the ground, and just follow that until it gets thinner. You can take that out and you just take off the bark, and you can even split it down the middle to make a few pieces of cordage, and that's really strong and really flexible. As long as you don't take too much, it won't do any damage to the tree because there's absolute masses of roots under the ground. And yeah, it's nice and flexible. It is better once you get the bark off. And that can be used for crafting or helping to put up shelters. It's pretty strong.